Thank you for joining us once again for another presentation under the One Health concept, where we are talking about important zoonosis. And today we'll be talking about a foodborne disease by the name of salmonellosis. In this whole series, we are trying to explain why protecting animals and animal health, as well as the environment, ultimately protects us and our human health. So today, with a foodborne disease. Healthy animals mean safe food, and we need safe food for healthy humans. So salmonellosis, first we'll introduce what is this disease, how common is it, how is it transmitted between species, how can it be recognized in humans and in animals, and most importantly, what can we do to prevent it? So first of all, Salmonella is a bacterium. There are over 2,500 types, of which a little under 100 different types of Salmonella can actually infect humans. This is generally contracted from contaminated food, most frequently in water, but it can also be caught from infected animals, contamination in the environment, as well as infected humans. So how common is this disease? This disease is very common. You have heard us talk about some very rare, very dangerous zoonosis, where we may have never had a case here in Belize. Salmonellosis is not one of those. So there are globally estimated to be over 90 million cases in humans every year. Of those, the vast majority, so 80 million cases, are coming from contaminated food that we humans consume. The other part of it is then associated with environmental contamination or animal exposure. So all of our three One Health elements are in here. Again, how do we get it? Most commonly from eating food that was contaminated or water that led to contamination. And the contamination source is usually animal or human feces. We can also acquire this disease from contact with infected animals. So touching any animals without washing our hands afterwards. And we have to give a special highlight here for reptiles, reptile pets that have sometimes been given to little kids who then stick them in their mouths and contract salmonellosis, including some cases where kids have died from inappropriate contact with reptile pets. We have this disease a bit more frequent in newborn animals, and it is possible to spread from human to human as well. So you've learned about zoonosis that spread between humans and animals and different species of animals and humans. Not all of them spread from human to human as well. Salmonellosis does. So an infected human can spread this disease to other humans, just as we can get it from contaminated food. The symptoms can be most commonly diarrhea. So acute enteritis, an infection of the intestines with fever and severe diarrhea. In horses, we can see colics. This diarrhea may be watery all the way to very bloody. We can also see vomiting and lethargy. And in some cases, we see no signs. So the animals can also be asymptomatic, which is always important for these diseases. If we don't see symptoms, yet the agents are being shed, then we can get infected from these animals, even though we don't see any signs in them. So an animal does not have to look sick in order to have salmonellosis. In humans, We have very similar symptoms, with the cardinal symptom being diarrhea. Oftentimes we have abdominal pain and cramps, and then of course the general signs of headache and fever, as well as nausea and vomiting. The incubation period can be from short 6 hours to several days after the exposure to the bacterium. The infection will on average last 4 to 7 days. In some cases, this can have very, very severe consequences and hemorrhagic forms of diarrhea, which can including be fatal for humans. So, to the most important point, how do we avoid this disease? Number one is to wash our foods properly before eating them, and even more so to thoroughly wash our hands before touching any food that we're preparing. We should boil our water from any sources that may be contaminated. Meats have to be thoroughly cooked, and if a person has signs of disease, for example, diarrhea, they should not prepare food for other humans, because there is a risk that they will contaminate the food that they're preparing. So good hygiene certainly helps, since it's crucially important to prevent transmission of this disease. And washing hands after touching animals prevents a lot of different potential diseases. So that is always advised. And to prevent human-to-human transmission, washing hands, of course, after using the bathroom, as well as after diaper changes, because we could have come in contact with Salmonella in this process. And this is the end of this presentation. Please, as always, feel free to contact us with any questions or comments. And thank you so much for your attention.